I also keep saying this, that the market is not made for one tool, right? However good your tool is. So in my case, I work a lot with my 10 bar cot, but the market was not made for my 10 bar cot to decode everything of it. So I have to surround myself with an IB and an IS signal. I have to surround myself with a market and a limit order, and I have to surround myself with a cot at the end of the 3 minutes and the cot at the end of the 30 minutes, because the market speaks in different ways, and I have to find it good and find it within me to collect all that information which is flowing from the market, right? So don't just let one tool be the the speaker for everything which is going on, which is happening. So what we have to do is, like, as we head into a new calendar year, the first message which I give to the team which is trading with me is not to understand that there is only one way in the markets. There are actually three ways to trade a market.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, guys. A quick sound check. I hope I'm coming across. Great. So welcome to this 5 p.m. session. And yes, we will talk about the failed auction which we have. And we will also see how failed auction serves to be a very important concept in market profile. So what we have on the screen is the market profile chart of Nifty Futures. So what we have done, you can see 5th of February was the high which we made in this series. This was a swing high, and from then onwards we are probing lower. And the 7th of February was an important date. This was the RBI policy day, and what we did on this day was, in Nifty Futures, leave a failed auction at this high. We made an attempt to probe higher. In fact, we made a seaside extension lower first, which got rejected, and we went on to make a range extension higher, which again got rejected in this A period selling tail. So we did have a failed auction at the lows also, but this failed auction got negated because of this failed auction getting activated. So this failed auction was at 23794. So when we get a 23794 reference as a failed auction, it is very simple. Below the failed auction we are bearish, above the failed auction we are bullish. And because this failed auction came on the upside, we have the 180R and the 280R targets, which are the objective of this failed auction. So the 180R target from this failed auction was at 23560 and the 280R was at 23330. So both these targets were achieved, but the importance of the failed auction is telling you, it is giving you a swing view. It is telling you where the auction has faced a rejection in which direction, and now you can look for a probe in the opposite direction. So that is what happened. We went on to form another AP rate selling tail on the 10th, the start of this week, and the selling just got intensified on 11th, where we left this big extension handle of 23310 and went on to form this big double distribution trend day lower. So what we saw, a balance turning to an imbalance from the 5th of February. This was the this was the day where we had a balance and the imbalance started. So this was what was telling us that the imbalance is going on the downside. And how do we know the imbalance is coming to a close? We got this AP rate selling tail on Monday, which meant we had discussed this in the 5 p.m. session on Monday also, how the weekly outlook was to the downside because the week has started with this initiative selling tail. And what we did on Monday, Tuesday was give another initiative selling tail just below the POC of previous session. And then we went on to not just repair this previous lows, went on to complete the 280R objective of 23330 and left an extension handle and made a double distribution trend day down. And what this imbalance continued on Wednesday, where we got another open drive down. If you see the open, the AP rate left a big selling tail at the previous day's POC, and we went on to make new lows for the series. 22905 was the initial balance low, but what happened after that? We made a typical seaside. We have covered how a seaside plays up, plays out. And today was a typical, yesterday was a typical seaside extension in Nifty Futures. We got the same in Bank Nifty Futures today on the opposite side. So I'll come to that in a bit when we cover the Bank Nifty Futures. But this rejection outside the initial balance and then the move back above the IBH got gave us the confirmation that this is a failed auction. 22900 became our latest failed auction. So just like how this 23794 gave us rejection at the upside here, that the upside is capped. This FA at lows of 22900 was telling us that the downside is capped, at least for the time being. And from the 22900, the 180R was at 23135 and the 280R was at 23370. So those were our probable objectives. And that is what we were looking at. And what we did yesterday was we probed on higher and formed a neutral center day. We got stalled at this important VWAP from 11th of February. So we have lot of important cues from market profile. So when we have a trend day, the VWAP of the trend day becomes very important reference going forward. So even if the seller had failed yesterday and got the failed auction, he went on to complete the 180R, but he stalled right at the VWAP of that double distribution trend day profile. So that was telling us that there is some supply coming in here. But today when we left an initiative buying tail at yesterday's VWAP, we knew that the auction is headed higher. And what did it do? It went on to get into this H period selling zone from 11th. It tested this extension handle which we had at 23308. And right there, you can see how we made the highs today. And you can see, I'll come to the order flow chart in a bit. And what we saw there was a RS bar. So when a place where you have got an IS, initiative selling signal, is tested and you get a responsive selling signal, you know that the supply in that zone is still active. So this was anyways a bounce which was playing out. The main trend of the auction, the market was to the downside. And because we hit an important swing low, new lows for the series, we got this seaside and a failed auction. We got this bounce. And this bounce got stalled right at this extension handle from 11th of February. So from there, what we did today was we went on to get back into the initial balance, and the break of VWAP meant we could go on to test the lows, which we almost did. So what we have done on the daily in market profile terms is form overlapping value for last 3 days. And why is this overlapping value important? Because the trend down move which we were seeing from 5th of February, from the 6th of February, is now getting into a balance. Post this balance, we can again resume the down move, or we can get a move away on the upside. What will happen, we will have to look at it from what we get in the days to come, in the sessions to come, starting with the open type tomorrow. So this right now what we saw today was the seller was tested and he returned, and he went on to give a close right at the 3-day POC of 23310. So this 23310 would be our opening reference for tomorrow, and we will have to see which of these VWAP holds, either this 23071 or this 23187. So a quick look at the order flow charts, and I'll also come back to the query which was asked. So the order flow chart here is of that important RBI policy day where we got that failed auction. So you can see how the day opened with a probe lower in the C side. We got rejected in the C side. We went on to make a range extension higher. This 23580 was a failed auction because we had got rejected from below IBL and made a range extension higher. But same thing happened at the upside. We got big selling coming in when we made this new highs. And this was also rejected, got back into the initial balance, and we broke the initial balance low. Post this point, we were never able to get back above VWAP. So this was telling us that the seller is in control. So that is why we give lot of importance to VWAP, especially on an intraday time frame. So when you see a buyer or a seller coming into the auction, you would assume that the buyer is in control as long as he is able to keep the auction above VWAP, and vice versa for a seller. So once we got this failed auction confirmed, we knew that the seller was active here, and the seller had to keep it below VWAP, which he did. So that is why it was a day when it closed, it was more in favor of seller than the buyer. Even the bounce which came in got stalled right at the VWAP of that day. So that is what happened, and the order flow was very clear in showing a supply at new highs. So, and also we have covered this in our previous session, how the cot was red during the up move last week, and how the red cot was not facilitating a good upside. That is the reason we got that reversal and we went on to probe lower again. So same thing happened yesterday. From that 7th, we got some good selling and we went on to probe lower. And you can see this week also we started with some good reds. We remained below the VWAP of the day. And then we got this big IS30 bar when we made that range extension at this 23308. You can see how you have got an IS30, and the POC of this IS30 is where we got rejected today. So this is how you need to keep in reference the important IS and IB bars, especially on the 30 minutes, because they are the ones which will give you good moves, good directional moves. So this IS30, we have discussed before also how a IS30 or a IS30 sell signal or buy signal gets activated. So the IS30 is formed, probe below this and a close below this on the daily basis means this is active, and the stop loss would be the high of the IS30. So that is what the rules are for trading these IS bars, be it on any time frame. And although this did break below briefly, we did not close below this. So this was not kind of triggered, but the next day at the open, this got triggered and we were inside this below this for a lower move with the stop loss at this 23317. And accordingly, the range, as per the range of this bar, we will keep the targets on the downside. So we went on to probe lower, we went on to hit this 22900, and here you can see this is a typical C side which got rejected and we came back above VWAP. So once this was actually a drive open, it was an open drive down yesterday. So once the open drive down gets negated, when does it get negated? When does the drive get negated? When the VWAP of the day is taken out. So this was an open drive down, but when we got back above VWAP, especially in the D period, C side it was just a test of the VWAP, but the D you can see was comfortably above VWAP. So this was telling us that the sellers are no longer in control, and we also had a probable FA. So once we took out this POC of 23040, this became our support zone yesterday. Even in the order flow, it is very clear. Once we got back above this, we never broke this 23040. So once in the E period, we made this bigger green bar than the D, it consolidated the position of the buyers. Yes, the cot was red in the morning, but the sellers were not able to do a good job. And here slowly you could see the cot was turning green, and we got this IB30 signal. So this IB30 signal got activated above this. But then what happened in this probe higher, we could not find fresh demand coming in. So even though this signal was in play, unless you get that confirmation in the cot, in the volumes which are coming, you will not expect more upside. You can expect a test of this IB low and the VWAP of this. So when you are getting this three big reds, and then again the next bar is also red and the cot is also red, this is not giving you that confidence of holding longs. And that is why what happened is, because this came in red cot, we made a swipe lower. We went on to test the VWAP. Technically the low of this IB30 broke, but if you ask, the VWAP was the more important reference, and as I mentioned, this 23040 was the swing reference. So this holding was telling us that this signal is still in play, and we needed to be ready with the long side trade above this, with this as the stop loss again if we get a trigger, and that trigger needed to come on signal, green cot. So yesterday we defended the VWAP. So that was telling us the seller was not able to make much of an impact. And it could also be the case that because we had lot of stuck selling at the lows, those sellers were booking out in this probe lower, which was keeping the auction at the VWAP. Today, what happened was, we opened above yesterday's VWAP and we got a buyer green at the open. And we went on to again get above this uh, 30 IB30 high and see the difference between yesterday and today. Yesterday, as soon as we got back here, we got red caught and we immediately got back about this 23180. But today, once we got back about 23180, we never came back below this trigger. So this is one signal which you know is a very confident giving one. When your entry point is not violated, you know that that is a good move which is coming in. And here you can see in this C side, you can see how in the dip we are getting rows of green stacked together. The cot is also turned green. So this is where you know that now, because of this IB30 signal being activated, you can look for that upside target 23180 minus 23070. So you add 110 points, so it comes up to 23290. So that will be your target for this IB30 getting activated, and you will definitely look for that objective and book profits over there. And we went on to we remained above VWAP in the first half of the day, and we went on to make higher highs in the E and F. So when we made this higher high in the F period, you can see how we got an RS bar. And we had spoken about how that RS of today is come right at this IS of 11th of February. So this is what you need to know. You need to know where the seller has left its footprints. And here, all of a sudden, when you can see how you've got green bars all through, but here you've got a red bar. It is close at the lows and it is an RS. So when you have hit that IB30 signal as hit its objective, it hit its objective. So definitely you need to book profit. If you want to trail, you will have to trail it at today's VWAP. So it did remain above today's VWAP till the H period, but till the H, I think. So, but it was still not able to take off this RS. So for us to close at highs, we needed to take off this RS. But then when we broke this VWAP in this 115 bar, it was clear that the buyer is no longer in control. And then we went on to make a retracement back to this starting point from where the buyer had entered in the morning, 23092. So you can see how the order flow is showing us more reds because the break of VWAP got some long liquidation in place, and this bar, the K period of today, is showing some big reds here, and because of which we did get some greens also, but the reds were more dominant in this K period, and the POC also shifted here to this 23130. So what we have done is we have gone on to retrace the up move, but we have held this buy side reference of 23092, which is also very close to that 30 IB low of 23070, which we got yesterday. So this is where this is what is showing us that the buyer who came in causing this IB is still defending this zone. So this is how you read the order flow and make use of these IB signals. And it is very important that you book profit whenever you are getting those targets. And also when you have so many important cues together. So when the cot is not supporting an up move, you know that it is not time for you to uh, remain in that trade. So that is the reason how yesterday the cot showing us red was not a very good place to remain long above that 30 IB high. But today, when we got above that 30 IB high, we remained above that 23180 level. So that is one very good point, which I have personally also noticed on all time frames. Whenever there is a good IB signal or an IS signal, your entry points does not get violated. So that gives you that confidence that it is what you're carrying is more a risk-free trade. So you book profit. You can, in fact, after some time, when the market remains above that, you can get back your stop loss to the cost, so that it is a risk-free trade for you, and the auction will respect the levels. So today's VWAP will be one important reference, because we have seen selling which has come in, and that came at an important reference also. This was the extension handle from 11th. So from there we have seen selling coming back, and it has stalled right at that 30 IB low. We have not got a IS 30 so far, so we will have to wait for that. And if we break below this 23070 level tomorrow, then with this today's VWAP as the stop loss and the POC as the one reference, we can look for more downside moves. We can look for a revisit to the failed auction of 22900. So failed auction are caused by a failure of a party. So it is not caused by initiative activity. So that is one thing which we need to understand, and that is the reason we have that concept of the failed auction being revisited in T+5, because the failed auction is not caused by initiative players. It is caused because some party failed and that opportunity was taken advantage by the opposite party. So there is always a good chance that the level gets revisited. So that is as far as the Nifty Futures is concerned. It will be an interesting day. Today was a normal day because of the big IB range which we had. The first hour range was almost 200 points. So that is why we did not extend much, and we stalled right at that extension handle. So in case we had not got this RS, we would have gone on to complete the 280R from that failed auction, which was at 23370. So but it was not to be, and the supply pushed it back lower. So we'll have to stay above this 23130 tomorrow to remain bullish, and we'll have to take off this VWAP, and then we have this RS which is there from today. On the downside, 23070 would be the reference, and below that we have a very good chance of going and testing the failed auction of 22900. So let's now move on to the Bank Nifty profile, and as I was mentioning, and let us have a quick review of what we did in on the RBI day. So here in Bank Nifty, you can see in Nifty we formed a swing high on the 5th, but Bank Nifty did not do that. Bank Nifty formed a 2-day balance on 5th and 6th, and on the important RBI day, it has left a good selling tail in the initial balance. So this is a special case scenario. We have got a selling tail at new highs. These are new highs for the series. So it is very clearly telling us that the sellers are coming in this zone, and RBI always gives us good move away. So this swing high gave a good trending move lower from the highs of 50797. We went on to drop down lower yesterday to this lows of 48950. So what we did in the fall was saw some good profit booking by the sellers also, and because of which we got this bounce. Yesterday in spot in Bank Nifty we left a failed auction, but in futures we did not do that. Futures did not make any range extension lower. So what happened was we formed a normal variation day to the upside, and then we almost tested this selling tail of 11th. In Bank Nifty, we did not have any extension handle because we went on to close as a narrow range B-shaped profile on 11th. In Nifty, we had that big double distribution trend day down. So what we did today we opened and left this A period buying tail, but then we made this typical seaside, and the seaside stalled right at this value area high. 50,025 was the high today, value area low, sorry, of 10, and it made the typical seaside which we saw in Nifty Futures yesterday. So this is happening in the Bank Nifty on the upside. So here, as soon as this failed auction was left, that 180R on the downside got triggered, which was at 49429. We went on to make a low of I think 49450, which is the halfback of yesterday. So we are just stalled, taken a pause over here, and the POC has shifted down. So it is still a neutral extreme profile. So with this VWAP as the reference for the coming sessions, and you can see how this VWAP of 49745 is coinciding with the rollover point of this series. So with this as a reference, we are looking for more downside in Bank Nifty, a probable test of this HVN of 49275, and then maybe new lows for the series. So this is how we need to make use of failed auction and see where they are coming, at which level they are coming at. From that level, how you can take advantage. So Bank Nifty was definitely bullish because of this A period singles today. But the moment the seaside was done and we got back into the initial balance, it was a setup for a probable failed auction. And once we broke VWAP in the second half of the day, it was very clear with this as a stop loss, you have a good short side trade on in Bank Nifty. It has almost gone on to check the first objective, which was the VWAP of this day and 49429, which is the 180 from the failed auction. So if we remain below that tomorrow, then we can look for the lower references. So a quick look at the order flow also in Bank Nifty. I'll quickly take it to the RBI policy where we got that on the 30-minute time frame. We got this RS signal. So you can see how when we are making new highs, we are not getting much of demand. And then post the policy, we made a swipe lower. Also, we got an RB bar. The Bank Nifty had made this swipe higher and swipe lower, but the bounce back above VWAP in this D and E periods got stalled right at this selling tail. So this is why the tail which comes in the initial balance is an important one, because that is telling us that the initiative players are holding that. So as soon as this stalled here, you can see how this red bar on 30 minutes closed well below the VWAP. And this is not an IS because the POC shifted more to the downside. If the POC was somewhere in the middle, this would have been a nice IS 30 signal in Bank Nifty. So nonetheless, Bank Nifty was still showing that it has left a sell side footprint. It was a big 120 point selling tail, and then once we broke VWAP, we remained below VWAP. The bounce back again stalled right at VWAP. Then on the next days, we remained below previous days VWAP and kept probing lower. So that is how we have been probing in Bank Nifty. And yesterday's order flow, if you see, it was an open drive down where we made these lows. Here in the order flow, you can see how the supply was drying up and greens were getting stacked, and how this POC did not close at the lows but in the middle. So this was telling us that the sellers are now booking profit. And once we got back above VWAP in the C and the D, then with this as our reference, we have zeros on the sell side here. You have greens in the B period here. So this is telling you supply is now drying up. And it went on to give this bounce to 49930. We did get a pullback yesterday, but it supported VWAP. And you can see this VWAP of this green bar of 11:15 of yesterday is where it was holding. It was taking support, and this will be our support even for tomorrow. So what we have done today, we opened higher, but here we are not seeing much demand. Even the first two bars, the cot was red, and once we made this typical seaside and got rejected, The break of VWAP in this 1145 bar was a signal that with this as a stop loss, you can look for a short side trade in this. And we went on to break the other extreme, giving us a failed auction at this 50,025 and form a neutral extreme profile. So the POC has shifted lower. So this will be the immediate reference for tomorrow. And we have this VWAP as our upside reference. So as long as we are below this VWAP, we are looking for more downside. And yes, a break of this 49404 can give us some more lower targets in the sessions to come. So that is it for today from my side, guys. I hope you make out how these failed auction works. Very important in the market profile setups, and we have got a series of them in the recent times. In fact, the lows in Nifty spot of last month was a failed auction, which gave us that bounce which we got. And today here again we saw in Nifty Futures a failed auction of last week on 7th, the RBI day, which showed us very clearly that the swing is now turned on the downside. And from the 23794, we have gone on to make a low of 22900 in a matter of 5 sessions. So that is how you, and you, when you add up all this, yes, 5 session means 5 trading days. When you add up all this, the failed auction, the structure, and then the order flow, and then if you get this IB30 or an IS30 signal, so nothing to beat that. When you have all these, most of these odds favoring, that will be one of the most fruitful trades you can take, and even the risk will be well managed. So thank you guys for joining in, and we hope to keep bringing you such nuances of latest market structure, and hope you can make use of them in your trading. Signing off for today, and we'll catch up next week. Thank you guys for joining in.